Welcome to Brownish Parenting, the podcast where we explore the messy, meaningful realities of raising South Asian American children. I'm your host, Dr. Amita. I'm an adjunct professor at San Jose State University in the Child and Adolescent Development Department, and I'm also the founder of Social Edge. Today's episode is for anyone who's felt caught between two worlds and two sets of expectations. So we know many South Asians face this unique storm of challenges, personally and professionally. For many of us, that journey may begin when you get asked that question, what do you want to be when you grow up? And if it's anything other than being a doctor or engineer, accountant, lawyer, you're probably met with a lot of confusion, concern, and outright dismissal like, no, that's not what you want to be. And so, if you ever thought about one of those creative fields, like being a writer, you may have heard, like, unless you're an anomaly, like J.K. Rowling, you won't make a living. And that's just not true. It's not until adulthood that many of us realize there's a whole world of creative professionals out there where you can have a thriving career. And so sometimes our parents just didn't see it and they only knew what they were really exposed to. And so that first generation really was trying to survive and make it. So it's not really their fault. But what would happen if we changed that for the next generation? So what if our kids were exposed to art, fashion, film, storytelling, comedy, careers that are rooted in passion and not just that prestige? And so today's guest, Vinayak Pal, is the embodiment of this possibility. He is a stand-up comedian and an award-winning author. Vinayak has swapped out that stethoscope for the mic and never looked back. But career is just the beginning. For so many South Asian Americans, we're also just tangled up in other expectations, like how to choose a partner. Can you date without having to be married? Because arranged marriages are so common in our culture. We know that sometimes, it may not be okay to marry outside your culture, your caste, your religion. So, how are we able to bring our values together and how do we love freely when you've been taught to really love within limits that have been set for you by our culture, parents, society? So let's think about that. How do we balance our cultures? You may have screamed, if you didn't want me to be so American, you shouldn't have had me here. That was something I dealt with growing up, being too American. So we get it. Trying to be fully Desi, fully American, it feels like we're losing in that game of being able to be who we are in this world. But here's the truth, you don't have to prove anything to anyone. You're already enough just as you are. You're not failing at either culture. You're shaping something new. We're living in this third space. So this episode is about choosing your own path, whether that's on stage, whether it's in love, or being between identities. So let's get into it. Today we have an incredible guest whose story will make you laugh, think, and maybe call your parents afterwards. Vinayak Pal. From opening for legends like Russell Peters, D.L. Hughley, and Akash Singh to touring across India, Vinayak brings a unique voice with his comedy, which is equal parts sharp and authentic. His comedy draws from growing up with a single Indian mom in America. Indian and Asian kids made fun of him for that, while black kids had his back but made fun of him for everything else. Vinayak's material fearlessly explores cultural clashes, family dynamics, and relationships with an edge that keeps audiences cracking up. His tagline is, once you go brown, you never frown. Right, welcome Vinayak. We're so excited to have you with us today. I was fortunate enough to get to hear you live and loved everything you had to offer. It really hit home for me growing up here in the US. So I'm excited to have this conversation.
I'm excited to be here, and I was very happy to meet a fellow Bengali at that show. I think it was a birthday party. It was your friend's birthday party, right?
Yes, yes. So it was awesome. So yeah, I loved all your Bengali jokes, Punjabi jokes. So we'll get into everything you do with culture. But
Wait,
before we do that, I'd love for our listeners to get to know you a little bit more. So just about, your childhood, your background, and how you got into comedy.
All right. Do you want me to just like say it like in a blurb, or do you want to just ask me some questions that you have on my child, and then we could go? Because there's a
Yeah.
lot.
Okay, so I was interested in, because I know you were raised by a single mother. Has
Yeah.
that always been the case for you? Did you know your father?
So yeah, I did.
Uh-huh.
I was 5 years old when he left, and
Okay.
I have a younger brother with the same dad. So he's 2.5 years younger than me. So I was five, my brother was 2.5, and then, my mom raised us on her own from that point. My grandma did fly in from India around when I was 6.
Uh-huh.
She left around when I was 9 to go back to India because, her visa expired at that point.
Oh
But yeah,
yeah.
she helped raise us when my mom was out to work. And uh, we did have not your like typical nanny, but someone who'd pick us up from school and then drop us off at home and then just be around the house to make sure that my brother and I didn't, kill each other.
Yes, for sure.
Because my grandma also is like, she's not the most physically, you know, abled person. She has one good leg and she can't
Yeah.
walk fully. So of course we would try to get away with shit when she would
Yeah.
take care of us, like, extra sweets, or who gets to play with the Game Boy or whatnot. But
That's
yeah,
sweet.
so that's
Yeah.
like the basis of it. My dad left when I was 5. Mom
Yeah.
has been with us since then. Yeah.
Okay, and how was her work schedule? Like what did she do? Sounds like your grandma was there to kind of watch over you, so
Yeah, I mean, she, dude, I all I remember is that she came back home around 6:30 or 7. You know,
okay. Okay.
I
And did
don't
she have
know.
to get a job? Like did she have to get a job when she became a single mother?
I think she was working
Okay.
to a certain degree.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
my memory on that is a little fuzzy because I was
Hmm.
5. But I
Yeah. Yeah.
remember, like, she was working to a degree, but I think she had to double down
Hmm.
because, you're providing with 2 kids in a
Yeah.
country that you're from. Uh,
Yes.
and you want to make sure there's at least a safety net. And luckily,
Yeah.
she is a very educated woman. She
Yeah.
has a master's degree and all that. I think she bachelor's in electrical. I think master's in the same. I know it's all in the engineering space.
Oh,
Um,
okay. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but she got into like she was in software from
Hmm.
the time I was 5. But I remember
Yeah.
always been software. Yeah,
Okay.
iOS development specifically.
Okay. And then as I was reading your bio, you talked a little bit about, being raised by a single mom and, dealing with that when you were in school and how, some people didn't get you, like the Indians didn't get you, but the blacks got you. Understood that part, but made fun of you
Yeah.
for
So,
other things. Yeah.
it touches a very interesting line because we live in
Yeah.
a very sensitive world
Yeah.
where, oh, we can't talk about race, we can't talk about culture
Yeah.
unless it's our culture,
Yeah.
which is a lie. How are you supposed to learn
I
about
know.
other people's cultures? How are you supposed to blend in with other people or understand who
Hmm.
they actually are if you can't talk to them about
Yeah.
who they actually are or have an
Hmm.
opinion about what's going on? That's
Yeah.
like completely, in my opinion, un-American and just
Hmm.
like not human. I don't know who made these rules up, but they're dumb.
Yeah.
So what I did was I didn't live the traditional Indian life. I never did because
Yeah.
when you don't have a dad, that automatically
Yeah.
kicks you out of what
Uh-huh.
Indian is. Uh,
Yeah.
it's very nuclear family oriented. And when my dad left, it was around when I started kindergarten.
Mm.
And, I didn't like, I was still under the impression that he was just gone for a trip, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Like, as a kid, you
Yeah.
understand,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, all my friends were like, oh, where's your dad? And there was no
Hmm.
malice at this
Hmm.
point. It was just they had dads and I didn't. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
he's on the trip. He's going to come back. And at some point, it was years. And I held on
Yeah.
to this belief that he's going to come back, right?
Yeah.
And at some point, the Indian and Asian, primarily Chinese kids, would,
Hmm.
some of them would make jabs. I mean, I had
Hmm.
my dad. Some people would like purposely ask my dad where my dad was just to like hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
Um, and there was few kids who actually even took it further, but that's like whatever. As an adult, I don't care.
Wow.
It's them being jerks. Um,
Yeah.
and when I say black kids, there like when I was around any black kid and they found out I didn't have a dad, it wasn't like they didn't make fun of me for it. Yeah, of
Hmm.
course they're curious. Like, wait,
Yeah.
Indian dad? What? This is different.
Hmm.
Of course there was
Yeah.
that curiosity, but it was never like, oh, it's your fault
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
it's something was wrong with you. My best
Hmm.
friend would say he's Jamaican and Black American.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a dad, but not in the sense of like the stereotype of the dad
Hmm.
left. His dad passed away, but we still
Yeah.
similar ideas of like, oh my God, not having a dad during a certain like certain
Yeah.
developmental years is hard. But yeah, so I have that, and then I also joke a lot about different cultures and how they are because at the
Hmm.
same time, it's not even that I look down on anybody.
Yeah.
That's not the case. It's
Hmm.
you have a culture. Most cultures don't have a voice in this society. The only voices we usually hear are
Hmm.
white American, Black American,
Yeah.
Mexican American, and now we're getting like, and of course, Russell Peters has been out there, but even
Hmm.
with him, it's not like all of America. It's like, oh, we get Indian people now.
Uh-huh.
Even with Jimmy O Yang out there, we get Chinese people now. It's
Yeah.
mainly Black, white, and Latino,
Yeah.
Mexican. Especially all the other different types of Latin also don't usually have a voice. But like
Yeah.
my
That's
thing
true.
is, my one of my purposes is like, yo, there's all these different cultures. They're so freaking cool. There's so
Yeah.
many cool things about every single one of these cultures and the subcultures within it. Like
Hmm.
Indian, but then there's Bengali. And there's
Yes.
Bengalis from Calcutta, then there's
Yeah.
Bengalis from Dhaka, there's
Yeah.
Bengalis from Sylhet, there's Bengalis from Chittagong. What does all that mean? And maybe us Bengalis from
Hmm.
Calcutta don't like the others, which usually is the way it is.
Hmm.
Like, what is that? Why is that there? Or like, why do Mexicans not like Salvadorians? Or why are Salvadorians cool in X Factor? Or why are Mexicans cool in different parts of Mexico
Hmm.
within their own society? They think that way. Or different parts of China and what they do, and
Yeah.
different parts of Asia and like their dynamics. Like, I do a
Hmm.
joke where I talk about how Asians have a hierarchy, right? And they always says
Yeah.
Chinese is at the top, and then Japanese, Korean, they go down the line, and like
Uh-huh.
at the end, it's somewhere Vietnamese. And I always
Yeah.
say it's weird that you trash on Vietnamese people. I think you're all sore losers because they're the only ones that beat America in a war. Like all of you guys,
Yeah.
I say that type of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
It hits, some people
Yeah.
say shit, and then the Koreans like, oh, we never lost to America. I'm like, you tied, which means in Asian standards you lost. Like
Yeah.
that's all.
Totally.
But
Yeah.
I break stuff down like that for sure. Like that, it's like, of course, there's the fatherly abandonment, and then there's
Uh-huh.
being raised by a single mom. Then there's the Indian aspect of being raised by a single mom, and there's the aspect of being around Indian people all the time in the Bay Area. And then
Yeah.
there's also the aspect of different cultures react to things differently, and they live different lives. And
Yeah.
I think it's time for us to be cool with other cultures and just be able to laugh at it all and not act like,
Yeah.
we have to be offended all the time.
That's so true. So
Yeah.
true. Where did you grow up? What city
Santa
or
Clara.
Santa Clara?
Yeah, Santa Clara.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Oh,
Yeah.
nice. Okay. And just as we talked about sort of that non-traditional family and how you dealt with that at school, do you feel like that helped build is that where your humor came from or is that and was it easier for you to get into comedy because it's like a non-traditional career because you came from a non-traditional family? Have you
I
thought
think I
about
was
that?
always a rebellious kid.
You were
And
always a rebellious
I
kid.
was
Okay.
always a rebellious kid.
Yeah.
Like I always told my friends, you got to love what you're doing. Never just like work for the sake of working. You need to love. You have to have
Huh.
passion. Like from the age
That's
of
awesome. Wow.
from a young age,
Yeah.
I would be saying these things, and then all these
Okay.
uncles and aunties would be like, "You can't talk like that. When you're older, you don't understand." And
Well,
I
I
was
was
like,
going to ask about Bengali. The ones that are usually in the creative fields are the Bengalis. Like they're
"Yeah,
the artists, the poets. But
yeah."
you don't
And
think that was part of it. You
for
don't think
your viewers who don't know what a Bengali is, Bengalis are a group in Bangladesh. Like
Mhm.
they're the people in Bangladesh, and then they're a group in India.
Yeah.
They're known for eating fish,
Yeah.
known for art, like poetry.
Hmm.
The Indian national anthem, written by a Bengali. Uh,
Yeah.
one of the most famous, not only Indian but probably Hollywood director Satyajit Ray
Hmm.
is Bengali.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, we are the artists and we're pretty cool. I do think like when you're in America, when your
Hmm.
family immigrated to America,
Yeah.
it's different because there's an expectation of, okay, we came here for a better life and
Yeah.
we want you to be still in a traditional role. Of course, they want you to be artistic. They
Yeah.
want you to have that creative edge,
Hmm.
absolutely, but making it a career is not easy.
It's not.
It's
Yeah.
never easy. And that's the fear amongst a lot of immigrant parents is, well, I brought you here. I
Yeah.
raised you here. I
Yeah.
paid for your education. Like, let's be real. Most Indian kids get their whole education paid for by their parents. And
Yeah.
we are some of the most educationally privileged people in this country.
Hmm.
And that's a huge bragging right for us as a group. We came
Yeah.
from a country that was destroyed by England and
Hmm.
now we're the top 1% of makers in America because we push our kids and push our people to be the top in the top fields. There are some downsides to it, but there are a lot more upsides than there are down, in my opinion. But
Hmm.
Indian uncles and aunties, whether it was Southern Indian, Punjabi, or Gujarati, or even Bengali, they would still say, well, you have to make sure you take care of yourself when you're an adult. You have to be responsible. And the
Yeah.
best way to do that is be an engineer or a doctor. And I
Hmm.
got where they came from. It wasn't like I didn't understand what they said. I did
Yeah.
get where they came from. But at the same time, I said, if you live a life and you're
Yeah.
here with my identity, Vinayak Pal,
Hmm.
and I look back at my life and I'm like, wait, I did how many years of medical school to do what? And I don't even
Yeah.
love it. And I'm like living this life that I don't like. Like I'd rather take the risk
Uh-huh.
and know that I'm going for it
Yeah.
than live safely and
Hmm.
not be happy, you know? And
Yeah. So hold on.
I'm
So, back up and tell me when did you decide to go to medical school? So for a while you were going down this path, right?
mom wanted me to go down this path.
Okay.
I did not. I never went to
Oh,
medical
you
school.
never did. Okay. So you were like possibly that was kind of a career path for you based on your mom, but then you decided.
Well, I never let my
Yeah.
mom pick for me. She
Yeah.
was the one telling people she
Yeah.
wanted me
Okay,
to
got
do
it.
medicine.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I was 13, I wanted to get into acting and
Hmm.
politics because I watched Terminator at 13 and I love that movie. I love that
Yeah.
whole series. Um, and I was like, oh, Arnold, I want to be like him,
Yeah.
minus the cheating on your wife and all that stuff. But like,
Uh-huh.
uh, I wanted to be as cool as that.
Yeah.
And then I did some political internships in high school. I was an intern for the state rep and state senator of the
All right.
district my high school was in.
Hmm.
And I just didn't like
Yeah.
the first internship was cool because I got to do like be in adult areas. I was like 15.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to go on the floor while you guys are arguing,
Yeah.
and I got to say my name when the speaker of the house calls upon special guests. Like I was a
Uh-huh.
special guest. It was cool. Oh, 15, you get it like your
That's
ego goes
awesome.
up. Yeah, your
Yeah.
ego
Yeah.
pumps up a little bit and you get to do all these things that change
Yeah.
the state. But
Yeah.
then at some point I realized this didn't make me happy. It was
Hmm.
cool for a little bit. It was a phase. And then I started thinking, oh, what about comedy? Because I was a goofy kid. I wasn't
Yeah.
necessarily funny with jokes. I was goofy.
Okay.
I would do like silly things to
Yeah.
attract attention. But
Uh-huh.
then I thought of stand-up comedy, but I was scared to go on stage and say what I had to say. I was like, but what if I'm not good enough? And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, as a comic, you're just supposed to go there and
Yeah.
get it.
That is so tough.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
started watching more comedy, and I was like, you know what? These guys make people laugh. They make
Uh-huh.
money doing it, and they get to travel around the world
Yeah.
doing it. That's what I want to do, and that's how it all started. I was 16 when that happened.
How did you overcome the obstacles, like the imposter syndrome, the how do I get myself out there?
Well, I think that goes in phases, right?
Yeah.
And it goes with phases of how much responsibility you want to take. Uh, you
Yeah.
know, because like in the beginning, it's not like I'm trying to sell at this comedy club. No, it's I
Yeah.
just want to get on stage, right?
Yeah.
And you're going through the obstacle of how do I get big enough balls to just get
Yes,
on
that's what I'm
stage
saying.
and
Yeah.
talk to these people.
Yeah.
And it was just like, hey, Vin,
Uh-huh.
I was in a high school talent show and I was hosting it, and let's just say all the
Okay.
jokes I did fucking sucked. Pardon my
Yeah.
language, but they
Yeah.
were horrendous. They were absolutely horrible. I even got sent to
Yeah.
one of the staff members, and they were telling me how bad it was. Like, you can't say those things at a school
Yeah.
talent. Okay, and it was not the first time I got in trouble in school for
Uh-huh.
saying stuff like that, but it was just like, just get out there and say it. And
Okay.
I think there's one piece of advice I kept reminding myself was what
Uh-huh.
I do now is not going to affect me like negatively in 2 years. Like this talent show, if I
Yeah.
suck at it, well, next year when I do a show at, let's say, a theater or a comedy club and I do well, this is not going to matter. It's not
Yeah.
going to. So why don't we just do it? And if I fail, I freaking fail. But I know there's going to be success down the line. You know.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
how I put myself
That's
there, and that's
great.
how I break it down. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I just broke it down throughout my career.
Hmm.
Um, that's how I did with my first open mic. My first open mic, I snuck into a bar. I was 18 in Boston,
Yeah.
and my like real open mic,
Yeah.
and I sucked. It was so
Yeah.
bad. Like I felt
Yeah.
like I had to quit. I was like, but in my head, I'm like, no, I can't. And then the next time I went, I crushed it, and I just kept
Yeah.
going and kept doing it. And then finally, I got my first book show, and
Oh
that
wow.
was so cool. Like it
Yeah.
was so cool, and I crushed it. And
Wow.
that was all 18, and then
Yeah.
going and going and going. And I've had some cool successes here and there. I'm not a full-time comedian yet, but
Mhm.
it's all happening. And I
Yeah.
always say, I always talk to other comics. It's like a big important thing is talk to comedians who've made it in the
Yeah.
area that you're trying to get into, and they'll tell you some of the nicest advice. Like this one guy, he blew up
Hmm.
over 2020 through social media, and he's hilarious. His name's
Yeah.
Michael Austin. We were on the phone last week, and he said, "There's a reason you're at the point of your career you're at right now. You're
Yeah.
there because you're supposed to be. Just
Yeah.
keep working, and things will expand. Don't rush it too hard, but also don't be lazy. Keep going at it." So it's a point of
Yeah.
being happy with what you have, and a
Hmm.
point of having enough drive to expand what you have, but never
Yeah.
invalidating what you've created before and
Hmm.
the successes you've created in the past, and never invalidating yourself right now. Because if you invalidate and you continue to invalidate, then you're only
Yeah.
going to shrink in the future. So
Yeah.
a lot of that
That's
time.
great advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I think about your story. I think about even Jerry Seinfeld when he started. He was like booed off stage and he just kept going. So making sure that you keep going if this is something that you feel that you're in the flow with, which is what you realize and you didn't want to give up. Because a lot of people might just have done that one, open mic and been like, maybe this isn't for me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you got to keep going.
Yeah, no, that's great. So that's yeah, and finding those mentors, role models, allies. 'Cause I'm sure in the beginning, I think with South Asian families in the beginning, until you reach success, they're always like, "Oh, what are you doing?" kind of thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's also there where some people just like silently lead double lives, or they like don't tell anyone they're doing this creative thing until they make it big. So
Yeah. I can't be like that. I'm
yeah,
just very out in the open.
yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
great. Yeah. And I think that's been where you're able to spend all your time doing this and really dedicating your time to this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I want to move into just looking a little bit at you growing up, like parents, parent-child relationships, and you talked about being a rebel. I myself am raising a son right now,
Yeah.
and how your mom's parenting style was, because I do feel like sometimes like the dads are a little bit more strict, like authoritarian. Moms, like my kids will tell me they don't take me seriously sometimes. They're like, "We laughing."
Yeah, I have a godson now.
Yeah.
He's two, and he has enough mental capacity of a 2-year-old, but he's a
Mhm.
very, very sharp kid.
Yeah.
When I FaceTime him, or I FaceTime his mom, right, who's my best friend's wife, just to check up on the kid because my best friend's stationed out in Japan right now. He's in the
Oh,
Navy, so I
okay.
check up on them every once in a while, make sure they're okay.
Yeah.
And he will take her phone,
Uh-huh.
and every time she asks for the phone back, he's like, "Mom, no," and I'm like, "Beckham, give the phone to your mother." And like
Yeah.
literally within seconds, he gives the phone to his mom. And it's funny how the male influence is like that. And now
Yeah.
imagine taking that out and having
Yeah.
sons. My
Uh-huh.
brother and I were definitely not good sons. We'll both admit we were horrendous sons. I will admit it. Like hands down, I was not. I didn't understand what was going on, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as a kid and as a teenager, I had so much resentment towards my mom because I felt lied to.
Yeah.
Because at one point, when I did find out he was never coming back, I thought it was all
Mm.
fault and horrible, horrible thing.
Yeah.
But and I'm not justifying
Uh,
my viewpoint on it at all. I'm not even justifying the conclusions I made too. I think now it's horrible, and my mom and I we're in a great relationship now. I have
yeah.
been for a long time. But like when I was a kid, it was not easy because I also wasn't good at math, which for the love of
It's
everything,
hard when you're in a South Asian
oh
family.
my
I
God.
wasn't either. And I had like math time with my dad for hours on end on
Yeah.
the weekends. Yeah.
It was horrible. And I just ignored my mom half the time. I ignored the teachers. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, you guys don't care. Now, all that math I didn't know back then, of course, I'm a whiz at now. It's like, whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I wasn't good at math. I wasn't the top of my class. I wasn't, everything your parents want you to be.
Yeah.
I was more on the creative end, actually. Like I was
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
arts class. I was good in
Hmm.
writing stories, telling stories. I was good in those types of things.
Yeah.
Understanding history, like liking cult, like the things I liked as a kid are still similar things to what I like now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so my mom's parenting style, I can't really comment on it because I don't know what that is.
Was
It
she
was
like open? Was she like did she talk through rules with you or did she explain
right.
them?
tried. It
She
like
tried. So that's, yeah. Okay, so she
she
tried,
tried,
but
but I
maybe it was hard to follow through with consequences.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Or did you have consequences?
I guess to a degree. I mean, you know what it
Yeah.
was is when you have a single mom, there is that male dynamic and that
Uh-huh.
female dynamic. It's
Uh-huh.
there, right? Where,
Uh-huh.
you know, my mom's 4'10", so
Yeah.
she's tiny, right? And I was taller than her from the age of 8. So like,
Yes.
I was like, what are you gonna do? Boss me around?
That's funny because my son does the same. He's like 6'2", I'm 5'5", and he's like, Mom, I can't take you seriously.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what my mom would do is she would tell my teachers.
Uh-huh.
I was scared of my teachers.
Okay.
So my mom and my teachers would team
Yeah.
up to
Okay.
make sure that I, well, not necessarily disciplined, well, in the sense of making sure that there was some responsibility planted into
Yeah.
me and like developed. Now, it was still hard. I was a rebellious kid, like
Yeah.
rebellious in the good sense and the bad sense. It was like I was both. But
Yes.
eventually it hit me. It did
Yeah.
hit me eventually. And eventually like things got way better. Like I guess the main thing was she wanted me to be good in school and eventually wanted me to get a good job so I can be successful. She always wanted us to be successful.
Yeah.
Now, in her immigrant mindset, idea of success is like that medical field or the engineering field, but
Hmm.
like she kind of had to compromise down the line and be like, I just want him to be successful in whatever field he
That's
chooses.
great. I mean, that's what I'm trying to do with this podcast is open that up for
Yeah.
parents to
I
see
do I do
different
think this is the
avenues.
way it should
Yeah.
be. You should like there's nothing wrong with wanting your kids to be intelligent and educated. I think
Yeah.
that's absolutely correct. And
Yeah.
if kids are not striving for that, you need to push them to strive for that.
Yes.
You can't let like I know, and this is gonna sound so bad, but I know a lot of like white kids that I went to school with, their
Hmm.
parents never pushed them. It was just
Yeah.
it was, and I was like they were trying to figure out freshman year of high school. I remember
Hmm.
kids were looking up different colleges. I'm like, oh, I didn't even know this college existed. I'm like, my mom's been talking to me about college since I was 5 years old.
Yeah.
You know, how is this not like this is it was so
Yes.
confusing. I
Yeah.
like all
Yeah.
the things like I thought people would joke about how white people did this shit, and then I was like,
Uh-huh.
oh my god, it's actually and I think that's not cool either. And there's
Yeah.
like this Western, well, this new age Western idea, let their kids be themselves, give
Hmm.
them space, blah, blah, blah. There is some validity to that. But there's also the Eastern mindset, which is no, you get these results, you're going to make it. And
Yeah.
as a parent, I don't care how you feel, you're going to do it. There is also validity to that. I'm
Hmm.
more like the in between compromise. I'm like,
Yeah.
if you're whining, like for example, I've dealt with kids so many times. If they whine, all the parents ask me, "How are you so good with kids? They don't whine around you. They don't do anything." Because first of all, I treat them like a small adult, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what they
Yeah.
are. They're an adult in
Hmm.
their own world. They just don't know what that is. So you
Yeah.
guide them with it. If they're crying about something, great. Yes, of course. Sometimes it's hard for them to communicate because they don't know how to. You
Yeah.
get them to communicate. I give them things to do. And it's the same thing with raising kids now. Yes, you give them space to grow. You don't
Yeah.
hold their hand the whole way. That's another thing I don't like is when I
Yeah.
like, especially with Southern Indian kids.
Yes.
Like I'm just calling it all out. Some Southern
Me
Indian
too.
parents, bro,
Hmm.
will hold their kids' hands till they're 20, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yo, how are they supposed to make a mark on society? You know,
Yeah.
how are they supposed to fend for themselves?
Hmm.
And even I know some white kids who are super their parents are overprotective. I think give them space to
Yeah.
grow and fail. They need to fail
Hmm.
and then give them space to also learn more about themselves to be more mature like take their lives more not seriously but more
Yeah.
responsibly like I know
Hmm.
where I want to go I know
Yes.
the difference between having fun goofing off and responsibility and I also know how to combine all of it so life is just fun and I'm not
Yeah.
stopping it
Yeah.
do I have exact methodologies of how to do it no I don't but what I do
Hmm.
know is this if you want your kids to be good in school absolutely and let them know I want you to be good at school also let them know, hey, if you need help,
Hmm.
ask me,
Yeah.
and I won't make fun of you for it. The amount of times when my mom called me stupid.
Yeah.
Even to this day, my mom's like,
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
I a great teacher? I'm like, Mom, you were a horrendous teacher. I
I
don't even
know.
know what
Yeah.
I'm saying right now. Like, it's funny.
Yeah.
They
Because
just
they
know.
get so frustrated. I mean, I had the same experience. They're
Yeah.
like, you're not getting this, and it's like,
And, and, and
yeah.
I was never the one to
Yeah.
just take it in. I yelled back at
Mhm.
her, like, "Hey, you call
Yeah.
me stupid. I'm your son. So what does that say about you?" Stuff like
Yeah.
that. And now, of course, like, it's totally different now.
Yeah.
I mean, we crack jokes at each other, but it's all jovial. It's not serious. But back then it was that's the thing. She wanted to be this good at
Yeah.
school. And
Yeah.
eventually I got there, right? But it
Hmm.
wasn't through reprimand and it wasn't
Yeah.
through talking smack. It was through
Yeah.
just understanding the things I don't understand, which was just taking those concepts and breaking it down. What are the words I don't know? What are the concepts I don't know? How
Yeah.
does this apply to real world? Like
Hmm.
algebra, for example. Most kids don't even most people in the world don't know how to apply algebra to real life. Most people
Yeah.
don't know.
No. Yeah.
What was it? Y
It's so
equals mc plus
abstract.
b.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
the quadratic equation. Like people don't know how to use this in real life, and that's some of the things where take these concepts and
Yeah.
make it applicable. If you want your kid to be a doctor, of course they have to know about science, but make science
Hmm.
fun. I remember the most fun I had was in my school science lab where we're
Hmm.
testing the speed particles of atoms. Was it atoms or electrons? No, I think yeah, it was electrons.
Okay.
And putting different chemicals over a Bunsen burner and it changed different colors. And that's
Oh,
how I learned about
yeah.
how light worked. That's how I
Yeah.
learned about how like different vibrations equal different colors. That was some of the most fun stuff ever.
Yes.
That you have to do. Make education fun.
I
Don't make
know.
it boring. Don't make it a chore.
Yeah.
Make responsibility fun. Like
Hmm.
do it as a reward basis, not as oh, we came to this country and that's why you have to do this. How about, hey,
Yeah.
do your chores and we'll go out and do something fun,
Yes.
Cool. I know so many Indian uncles now. Like the Indian uncles my mom would introduce me to as a kid, the way
Hmm.
they act around me now, night and day. Like
Really?
yeah, oh, night and day. Like because I'm a grown man, they
Yeah.
talk to me about things that I would never imagine them talking to me about ever.
That's funny. Yeah. Yeah.
So I
I can see
know
that. Yeah.
every Indian couple, every immigrant
Uh-huh.
couple has the capability of talking about fun things.
Hmm.
They just don't do it because they think setting a good example means being super serious. It's
I was
not.
gonna ask you that, like the humor, the role humor plays in Desi families, because I feel like what I'm seeing a lot is South Asian parents don't know how to just play with their kids. Like the young kids, they don't
Yeah.
know how to play with them, but then also
Yeah.
with the older ones, they don't joke around with them. Like
Yeah.
there's no humor. It's all really serious. And I remember going to my friends, my Caucasian friends' families for dinner, and I'd be like, how come it's like so nice here? How come like they're all
Yeah.
laughing and like talking about their day? And in
Yeah.
our house, it was all like, put your head down, eat your food, go to your homework, get on with it.
It's this stupid idea, and I don't think we've always been like that. I personally
Yeah.
don't think we've always been like that. I know, like if you look at our history, we are an artistic and creative culture that, but that section of our culture has been attacked and demeaned by
Yes.
other groups and by our own.
Colonialism, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And the reality of it is we need to be happy. We
Hmm.
absolutely need to be happy. It's number one is be happy. Now, on the journey of life, are there times that we go through stress, anxiety to get to an end or make a goal?
Hmm.
Absolutely. But at the end of it, you have to know these emotions I'm feeling is the game of life. It's not my
Yeah.
permanent attitude towards life. So
Hmm.
when you play it as a game and look at it as a game, like, Ludo or Coveted,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Any of this stuff. Um, you have to think of it like that. You're about to win the game. And when
Yeah.
we can actually extrovert a little bit and be like, oh, this is a fun game. I'm just going through the strategy of winning, which takes
Yeah.
some mental stress. Great, let's just play it like that.
I
And
like that. Like
yeah,
life is a game. It's like that shoots and ladders game. Like there's these ups and
make a number,
downs,
right?
right? Like
Yep.
you try to get up there.
How old's your kid? The 6'2" kid.
So I have a 17-year-old who, like you were just saying, he's starting to be taken more seriously with his like uncles and dadas, like as his own person now, because he's about to go to college. And then I have a 12-year-old who's in middle
Okay.
school. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, yeah, super interesting. And just because we're also just finishing up Rebellion, I needed to ask you about what happened with the cow. I've seen this in your bio. I don't know if
Which
with
cat? Oh, the one that we hit in India?
yes.
Oh my God, bro.
And what happened? What were were there any consequences? How did your parents find out about this? And any
Oh, no, my
recommendations?
mom was in the car.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I know. So first of all, I know how to drive, but I can't drive in India. I'm not
Yeah,
crazy like that. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
So I was, I think I was 17, and my mom wanted to take us to an auspicious temple in southern India.
Yeah.
We were already in Calcutta, so it was just like, from Calcutta down to we were in Bangalore. I don't
Hmm.
remember, but we took so the temple was 2.5 hours from the airport,
Okay.
and so we hired a taxi to go to the temple. But what happened was on the way in the highway, a cow started running through the highway as we
Oh
were
my
driving,
gosh.
and the taxi driver honked, which in India,
Uh-huh.
like cows usually move out of the way. Things move out of the way when you honk.
Hmm.
We honk, but the cow stays there, and we're going too fast to brake. And as we're braking,
Oh.
we hit it, and the cow like cashed it,
Oh
and we
my
just
goodness.
thing's killed. It's dead,
Yeah.
right?
Oh
And
no.
and the issue was, um, I think my mom keeps telling me I don't
Yeah.
fully agree with all the details she says. All I remember was the guy said, "Oh no, not this again."
Oh.
And I was like, "How many cows have you killed?"
Wow.
It
Yeah.
was and in India of all things, you kill all
Yeah.
the cows, right?
Because we
Uh,
like respect, yeah, we love them, we respect them. It's all about
yeah.
nonviolence. Yeah.
Right. So now this was an accident. There was no malintention here, right?
Okay, yeah,
So,
yeah.
but it was a hit and run because the taxi driver was like shit, and we started driving away, and then we hear sirens in the back because like
Yeah.
now like this is a big deal. You can't just do that. And now
Yes.
they're chasing us, and we're going through back alley streets, through villages and stuff, and
Uh-huh.
he's like looking for guard, like because there's guard towers in these villages to make sure nothing's happening, and there's a
Yeah.
blood smear. There's smeared blood all over the front fender.
Oh,
So like
wow.
this
What
is
an experience to
right. And
have.
my
Yeah.
mom's just praying the whole time, and I'm thinking in my head, wow, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
We're driving through all these villages, and at one point the cow
Yeah.
just breaks down. It completely breaks down, like it's totally dead, right? And
Ah,
it's on our way to go back to the airport because he wanted
okay.
to like take a new cab.
Yeah.
And in India, it's kind of nice. Like if you're a local, there are other
Mm.
locals, like in the sense of like not local to a particular village, but local to the whole area.
Yeah.
They will help you out, right? So like if they see you in need, you can just ask them, hey, can you help pull my car? So
Okay.
we found this cart, like it was
Mm.
moving. They said, yeah, we'll pull your car all the way to the airport.
Okay.
And it was being pulled by cows. So it's kind of
Yeah.
funny how I used to pull a
Wow.
cow, and now cows are going to help us pull it back and escape.
Yeah.
And um, we got off, no issue, nothing happened. My mom was just fucking scared for her life. She's never seen anything
Yes.
like this. And then we get a new taxi, go to the temple, all fine. Nothing crazy happened, but it was just like,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah, 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 yeah. Because I was like, oh, this sounds really interesting. A lot of your jokes are about like the Indian culture, religion, politics, right? Do you feel like that's helped you with your understanding of your Indian identity?
definitely there are times when I like start joking, I start learning more about India, different parts of India, different regions of India,
Yeah,
what to do. Um, I wouldn't say it's expanded my identity as an Indian. Like maybe my knowledge as an Indian, which
yeah.
byproduct has expanded my identity, but more like my identity as a man. That makes sense
Hmm.
because like I've like with comedy, you have to keep growing all the time, and
Yeah,
you have to keep maturing and keep expanding in whatever way possible, and that includes your personal development. So definitely a lot as a man, especially I hang out with Russell Peters a lot and open for him every once in a while. And I was
nice.
at his house a couple days ago, and that man's taught me so much of what it means to be a man. So it's like that's the type of stuff where I'm like, yeah, this is cool, like
Yeah.
things like that. That's the best stuff.
Awesome. All right. So I also wanted to know, like I saw in your bio, you talk a little bit about being part of a dysfunctional family and how a lot of your comedy routines are around that. I also just wanted to note that in the research, that a lot of South Asians that grew up here that were around Caucasians, including myself, we all kind of felt like we were part of a dysfunctional family because you're being told to do one thing at school, like, follow your dreams, do what you want, and you go home and they're like, that's like, not what you should be doing. This is what you should be doing. Don't listen to people at school. Don't be too American, So it always felt like that to many of us. So how did you like make sense of that? And then do you use a lot of that? Like, do you use humor to make sense of that?
I think that's what I did is just I just
Yeah.
crack jokes about it. Like
Yeah.
if you ask any of the kids that I grew up with and now we're all
Uh,
adults, Vinayak was always the outspoken one and the funny one saying jokes
yeah.
that everyone would be like, "You said that? Oh my God." I don't know. I always felt like it was my responsibility to take a stand against nonsense, which I think
Yeah.
being rigid and too serious to the point where it feels like it's suffocating
Yeah.
needs to go, And
Hmm.
dude, a lot of times Indian parents would tell their kids not to be friends with me because
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I was just so outspoken and so
Hmm.
determined to be myself.
Yeah.
Like it actually happened. I still remember instances where, one of my friends said, "Hey, uh, so this Rohan dropped out of my sleepover. My parents said, since we have an extra space, you're allowed to come." But like beforehand, they said, "No, you're not allowed to come because."
Oh, wow.
But like I was
Hmm.
supposedly this guy's best friend, and Rohan was just
Yeah.
like these types of things, right? And that could hurt a kid's.
Yeah.
It was I would joke, and I always hold firm
Hmm.
to joke. Now, at the same time, there is a point of respecting your parents.
Yeah.
You can't give up the the respect that your parents deserve, and
Hmm.
the importance that you should grant them for being your parents. Like yes, they brought you into this world. They are raising you. They
Yeah.
have a certain level of authority over you while you
Hmm.
are growing up. That is true. And it might suck when you're a teenager because you feel like you can take on the world and you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm sorry to tell you, as a guy who was like that, and you need your mom, you need your dad.
Yeah.
Like there are times when I fucked up as an adult, like really fucked up, whether it was with
Hmm.
or I was around the wrong crew, and my mom would always tell me, "Hey, don't do that, don't do this," and she was right. And I go back,
Yeah.
she never like rarely did she like put it in my face saying, "Oh, I was right, you're wrong." She's like, "See, now you learn."
Yeah.
See, and that's the
Yeah.
thing. You gotta have that space to fail, like I said before.
Hmm.
But the main thing is, how do we deal with the dysfunctional families? Now, my situation was different
Hmm.
because I didn't have a dad.
Hmm.
If you are somebody who is a single mom or a single dad, or
Hmm.
you're an adult that didn't have either one or just had a single family parent household, or
Household. Yeah.
if you're a kid listening to this, which hey, you learned some new words, but uh, what I say is just you can't focus on why that person abandoned you. You can't. That's not you. That's not under
Hmm.
your power. All you can focus on is how you yourself can grow and enjoy life with yourself and whichever parent's taking care of you. Because the person who left, they abandoned you, and that's on them. Their level
Hmm.
of responsibility was so low, and a lot of there was a huge product of that is that makes you feel like, oh, if their responsibility is low, well then I can act like this too, or
Hmm.
why was their responsibility low? Did I make it that low? Stuff like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You gotta ignore that, and it's easier said than done. Trust me.
Hmm.
You got to ignore it, but not ignore it by saying I don't have these feelings. You have to acknowledge that that's there, but you
Yeah.
also have to acknowledge you as an individual have amazing, beautiful goals, purposes, and aims for your life. You can't let something
Yeah.
that disastrous, which is only there to make your life feel disastrous, inhibit your reach to go forward and make beautiful effects happen on whatever uh, basis you want to create them, whether it's within your family, within your friends, within your city, within your state, within your country, whatever realm of influence you want to have, you have to go for it and do the things that make you feel happy doing it. Now, of course, you're going to have something tingling in the back of your head like, why did this happen? I'm not saying that's not ever going to disappear.
Hmm.
Maybe you have your own way. I did it through jokes. I did it through finding good adult male figures in my life who can give me some pieces of information on how to be a better man. That's how I handle that. And that's the way I do it. But you might have a different path. All you have to know is you are you. You're better than whatever situation was in the past because you're not that situation. You are you. And you have your own beautiful uh, you have your own aesthetic abilities and aesthetic personality traits that is only special to you, and that the whole world needs at the end of the day, because the world does
Yeah.
need to be a more beautiful place, and you have to understand you have what it takes to do that, and don't let the ugly take you back. So that's my piece of information for the single parenthood. With the whole going into a interesting career path, The one thing I do like that my mom did that I was a little bit resentful for in the beginning was she always told me you have to have a good job and you have to make your own money. I was like, why are you being so
Yeah.
pushy? It's so stupid to say that now.
Hmm.
That's how
Yeah.
I sell solar panels during the day. You know, I help
Hmm.
homeowners in California and Florida sell sorry, not sell, but get solar panels.
Oh, okay.
And that's helped me
Yeah.
sustain myself, you know?
Hmm.
Um, and it's great.
Hmm.
But the reason that's important, make sure your kids are financially stable because if they're not financially stable,
Yeah.
their passion is going to die out. It's going to die.
Hmm.
That's all they're going to think
Yeah.
about. Oh, I can't afford this. I can't afford that. So absolutely instill in them, be financially stable and
Hmm.
do your what you love. Do both of them together.
Yeah.
And if you fail, remember, I have your back. You know, like fail
Hmm.
for the first couple tries. Whether they're a
Yeah.
singer, they didn't get the audition. They're a comic and they bombed their first open mic. They're an actor and they didn't get their first role. Or they're a writer and their script didn't get picked up. Whatever. They always
Yeah.
have to back and be like, great, now on to the next one. But remember, stay stable financially. And it's just so you can live comfortably, so you can at least do the thing you need to do, you know? Uh,
Yeah.
writing your script or singing or acting or comedy, whatever. Always be stable. And at the same time, if someone else is talking smack about your kid being an artist, you talk
Hmm.
smack back at them.
Yeah.
That ain't cool. That ain't cool. You don't let that,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
because it's stupid. Oh, I remember this one Southern Indian family came to my mom's house and they're like,
Hmm.
"Oh, what do you do?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm a comedian." Their son, who's my age, beamed up. He like his face lit up. "Oh my God, you're a
Yeah.
comic? That's so cool. How do you do that?" And then
Uh-huh.
mom was immediately like, "Oh, he has another job. You need a that's his main
Oh.
thing. You can't be like that."
Oh my
And it's one of
gosh.
those Southern Indian parents who like held their
Yeah.
kids the whole time. And I told him what it meant to be a comedian. I didn't go into solar because solar's fun. I mean, it's
Yeah.
great.
Hmm.
I get a homeowner text me, "My bill is zero." That's so awesome. Like, oh, but
Yeah.
where it's at. That's what people
Hmm.
are interested in, you know? So
Yeah.
it's just support them, but also make sure that they figure out how to make their life stable. Because if it's not stable, then it's just going to go to shit. And I've been there where my life's not stable and it was not fun and I hated it. I hated it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's way more stable and it's way more great. Of course, solar does help, but I am
Hmm.
the type of guy where I'm like, no, I'm going to be a full time comic soon. But you
Yeah.
have to understand that it's all a game. These are things that we look back at and laugh at. Oh, remember when you used to do solar? Remember when you used to work for
Yeah.
fun? And now look at us. That's the way you look at it. It's a story for the future because that's all.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great advice. I love how you just spoke directly to, the listener, and especially if they're a kid going through this and really making sure that they don't get derailed based on what's going on in their lives that they don't even have control over at all. But like you said, it's kind of always there, but also how do you push forward to reach your goals? How do parents kind of help their kids experiment, take risks, feel supported? Because I think a lot of times, like when you were talking about the whole, all right, like, once you're out of here, like once you're 18, you're going to be going to college and then you better make your own living. But then it doesn't really give them a lot of leeway to experiment with what they want to do, maybe, and try out different careers or fields. If they knew that their parents were supporting them, it would make it a lot easier. It wouldn't be that whole fight or flight mode that our parents came here with. Because I think like they had to do what they had to do, right?
Right.
And so I feel
I
like,
have to tell my mom, I'm like,
yeah,
Mom, I'm not you. Like,
yeah,
I don't think I have the guts what it takes to raise two kids on your own in a country that you're not from.
yeah, you're not from. You don't have the support system. You don't have like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't have what it takes to do that. I told her that straight up. You can't expect me to be like another Pinky
hmm
Simha. That's her name. I can't be you, you know? I will
yeah,
be me. And I'm not gonna have, damn, I gotta do this because my
hmm
kids are wrong. I don't have that. What I do have is, hey, I am in a great position where I can make people laugh. I am in a position where I
yeah,
have great contacts in the industry. I am in a position where I can support myself and make it big. And I know what position I am going to be in the future where I can support you. I've told her this many times. Like sometimes she's like, why don't you, like some Indian nonsense, buy me a
yeah,
house? Mom, what in the nonsense is that? Like, she's even told, like when we were kids,
yeah,
honey, she just got her first house like 4 years ago, right?
uh-huh,
Out in Tracy, California. And but when we were kids, we were like, why do we always stay in apartments, but the other kids get houses, right?
uh-huh,
And because when you're in the Bay Area, a lot of the kids, their families can
Yeah.
afford it, like that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But we couldn't, not on a single family income. So
Yeah.
she would always take us into the real, how real estate offices have the houses on the
Uh-huh.
prices of their houses, how much it's sold for, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
She'd take us in these open houses
Uh-huh.
in the real estate office, and she'd point at one and be like, "Look, this is how much money you have to make because that's the house you're buying for me." And
Wow. Yeah.
I can't tell if she was joking about this or
Yeah.
not, and she won't admit to doing this type of stuff. She won't, but she
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
but like I tell my friends that they always crack up because it's like this expectation. So I always tell her when I make it big, the
Hmm.
first person I am going to dedicate a lot of my income to is you, right?
Yeah.
But you always have to make sure that you take care of yourself first,
Uh-huh.
make sure that like you're able to take care of others.
Exactly.
And I'm
Exactly.
not saying it in a selfish sense. I'm saying it in a sanity sense. You have
Yes.
to make sure you're stable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, I'd love for listeners to be able to find you after this podcast. So if you could just share with us where people can follow your shows and what's next for you, what you're working on, anything that's coming up.
Um, so I have a bunch of shows booked. I have a show July 1st in LA. I don't know if this podcast is going to be out by then, but we'll see.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I have
Yeah.
a bunch of shows in Denver,
Uh-huh.
Steamboat Springs, Colorado, booked at the end of July. You'll
Mhm.
find all that in my Instagram. And then I'm booking a bunch of stuff in Austin between July 28th and August 4th.
Oh, wow.
Um,
Okay.
my Instagram is at
Hmm.
V as in Victor, PAL comedy. So VPAL comedy. And that's all my social media handles. If you follow me on Instagram and send me a DM saying, hey, I'm in this city. Here's my email. I'll put you on my list for whatever city you're on, and you'll get notified the moment I'm in your city. Yeah, and right now I'm just working on a new hour to take on the road and just booking more gigs on the road. Mm.
Nice. Awesome. All right. To our listeners, if your teen doesn't follow the path you imagine, take a page from Vinayak's story. There might be laughter, growth, and even greatness waiting at the end of a different road. Thank you for tuning in to Brownish Parenting. Let's keep building bridges between generations and learning to laugh along the way. Thank you so much, Vinayak. We learned so much from you, your honesty, your authenticity, your wit. It was a pleasure having you on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.